What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the 182 News Podcast. This is your host, poppincurbs, and today it is time for another motherfucking emergency pod. Yep, just had to. I didn't think I'd be talking to you all this soon. I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, just like we all do, rotting our brains away, burning our eyes away. Oh, that's a cool post. Oh, that's a cool reel. Let me share that with my friend. Oh, somebody verified liked that post. Are they famous? Oh, they just paid to be verified. Oh, so sorry. Literally yelling at myself to put my phone down. And I saw a Blink Italia post that had a Billboard article where someone was ranking the Enema of the State songs, putting them in order. Least favorite to favorite, worst to best, however you want to spell it. And typically, I don't even pay attention to these because I know that 9 times out of 10, the writer cannot name 3 tracks off of Cheshire Cat. I like that. I'm going to start using that, Mark. Literally cannot name 3 songs off of Neighborhood. So you have to take their opinion with a grain of salt. Now, on the other hand, I'm stoked that Blink is in the news. I'm all for Blink being all across every single news outlet or form of media. I don't pay attention to the real news. I don't read the real news. All I want to talk about and read about and hear about are my favorite bands and sports or Blink or whatever. So much so that I had to think real hard about a podcast name and thought, oh, how about 182 News? I'll just talk about Blink all day, and it'll be a fun little outlet at minimum for me to talk about and hit on stuff I want to hear about. And ultimately, that was the birth of this podcast. Now, when I see these, I'm always kind of hesitant to dig into them, but I couldn't help it. I'm thinking, okay, this is Billboard. This is a larger article. This article was titled Blink 182's Enema of the State at 25, All the Songs Ranked. And this was a Billboard article by John O'Brien. I don't know John, probably a great guy. It is well written. And one of the things that is just great about this type of thing is it's subjective. So I could interview or chat with 10 different people, and we would all probably rank these songs 10 different ways. And it's just fun to talk about, and it's fun to kind of discuss and break down and listen to everybody's opinions. However, it did not take me very long before I was looking through these and thinking, that's pretty much like your opinion, man. And if you know what movie I'm quoting there, I can guarantee you we can be buddies and sit down and enjoy a nice IPA and have a great convo for a couple hours. And I'm scrolling through this and I'm thinking, man, I don't usually like to chime in on these fantasy rankings. I should just bite my lip. It is what it is. This is this guy's opinion. I don't doubt that he listened to the album and ranked them. But when I was reading through it, I was just thinking, man, this is completely different than what I would rank it, of course, first and foremost. But 2, it just seems like a quote unquote casual perspective. I almost hate to say that because it's often difficult for me to take off that hardcore Blink fan hat. You get kind of used to being in that zone and you kind of forget that, oh, not everybody's life and musical taste just completely float around Blink 182. So I don't want to use that condescendingly. I'm not trying to rip on this dude for ranking them this way because I think he probably genuinely listened to it and ranked them this way. Now, this dude may have seen Blink at Soma in 1994, and I could be absolutely crazy. But when I was reading through this, it just fit kind of what a casual listener's experience would mimic, in my opinion, and kind of more or less based off of radio success or commercial success, or maybe somebody who knew Blink in 99, hadn't thought about him too much since. So I was looking through this, and I was like, man, I'm going to have to rank these on my own, at minimum, just as an exercise. Now, again, I think if you're listening to this, you're probably a fairly hardcore Blink-182 fan. And it's kind of interesting to me to think about that breakdown. If there's 40 to 60% of folks who might fall in that casual realm, then there's probably another 20% who are kind of like in the median range of Blink fandom. And then there's that top 20%, 10%, and then you get into that top probably 5% of just super hardcore nerds who have all the vinyl, all the collectibles. I'm certainly in that range for sure. But I couldn't help but laugh the other day. I was watching YouTube, and for some reason, the algorithm thought I would want to watch Creed's comeback. And there was a video that popped up on my feed, and it said, "Creed is so back." And I was thinking, I didn't even really know they were gone, but that's great. It seems like a lot of these old bands from the late 90s are kind of having a nice little resurgence here recently. And I was watching it, and I was thinking, man, I guess Creed's a little bit bigger than I remember. But I was cracking up just thinking about, there's so many hardcore fans of this band. I mean, they were playing to a huge crowd, people going nuts. And I was thinking, is there like a Creed Italia? Is there like a Creed Mexico, Creed Chile Instagram page? Is there a Creed News with some loser podcast host who just dives into Creed history and lore and who has a shitty YouTube channel to do the same? I mean, what a fucking loser if so. And then I was thinking, oh, that's me. I'm the one who has to live with that, not you all. But it really makes me think about that sometimes. Like, is there a Smash Mouth Reddit where people are just deep diving into the Smash Mouth CDs they just found at their parents' house? It's fascinating. It's hard for me sometimes to take that hat off and put myself in the shoes of what you would call typically a casual per se. So it's a long way of saying that my view of this album is going to differ, just like all of yours probably would. And it's going to be different, obviously based on personal taste, influence, probably the amount of time you've spent listening to Blink, your favorite albums, etc. It's really fascinating to kind of understand what all goes into ranking this album front to back. Now, I did do my homework on this. I just put out a podcast, it's probably 3 or 4 back, called Enema of the State. And we revisited this entire album, the creation of it, really late 1998, leading into 99, and the band blowing up. So, I mean, you cannot understate how important this album was for the band. I mean, this is when they absolutely became the band in pop punk and were on top of the world and really crossed over into mainstream fandom. If you want to listen to that episode, just go back a couple and you'll find it. It's a deep dive. That has most of my thoughts track by track. So this episode, I'm not going to get deep into the meaning of the song or how I interpret it or my thoughts 25 years later. Go back to that episode to get some of that lore. I got a lot of good feedback on that one, so I hope you enjoy that and definitely check it out if you haven't. This one is more or less going to be counting down the Billboard ranking and then comparing it to mine. And I did my homework on this. I had just done the Enema episode where I had dug into Enema super deep. I listened to it a million times just to be sure I did my due diligence and got my thoughts out exactly how I felt. And prior to this one, I even wanted to go back and just listen to it again. It had been a couple weeks since I had listened to Enema. I wanted to listen to it front to back. There were even moments on this where I had 2 that were close, and I had to listen to them back to back, listen to them in my car, listen to them in my AirPods, because some of these were kind of close. So I did my homework here. This is the ultimate Enema of the State ranking, according to me. Of course, this is just my opinion, man. It's all subjective. It's all in good fun here. I'd be curious to hear your list whenever we're done. Because even as I was scrolling through some of those comments, I mean, it was just fascinating how people were, oh, you're crazy for this, insert my favorite. No, it's some people's favorite is last on others' list and vice versa. It's pretty crazy. I will preface this by saying, look, this album is an absolute game changer, iconic album. I mean, all of these songs are 9s and 10s. So you can list these however you want. You're not going to be totally wrong, but just lay it out how you feel listening to it. I don't think it will come as a surprise to most of the listeners. Most of my stuff is going to be based on riffier stuff. I tend to shy towards a little bit heavier Blink. I like some of the darker stuff. I like the riffier stuff. So, you compare that to somebody who doesn't like that kind of thing or doesn't play music or isn't a musician. It's, it can sway how they would rank stuff. I think one of the songs, All the Small Things, is probably a prime example of that. So without further ado, let's just jump right into this. There are 12 songs, and Billboard at number 12 has Dysentery Gary. And right off the bat, when I read that, I was thinking, I don't know about this one. Not off to a good start here, buddy. And I will go with mine. It was somewhat difficult to rank these. I will say I have never done this before. It's an interesting exercise in general. I hate to rank these songs or rank albums sometimes because I don't want it to be seen as like that's a bad song or a bad album or this is negative in any capacity. It's not. But at the end of the day, I do think I can personally lay these out according to my preference. So at number 12 for me, I have Anthem. Anthem, even in hindsight, is just never a song that I used to go out of my way to listen to. I like it. Again, all these songs are 9s and 10s. Amazing album, absolute game changer. But to me, I have to rank them, and I've got Anthem at number 12. Really, what I love the most about Anthem is the lore that it closes the album. And then with Toy Page, the next album, we have Anthem 2 kicking it off, and they have those tied together. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's my number 12. Coming in at number 11 on the Billboard chart, I actually agree with him here. He has the Party Song. I have the Party Song coming in at number 11 as well. I mean, this is a great Blink party song. I mean, if you didn't know the title to this and you played this, you would think that this was playing at some sort of just frat party or just some sort of party or gathering in SoCal. It certainly lives up to the title, but again, it wasn't one that I used to go out of my way to revisit all the time. I think a lot of it is just the lyrics and the verses are kind of hard to even know. I don't even know if I can nail that to this day. It's really, really fast. I mean, Mark's spitting there. And even when they played it live, Enema the State 20th Anniversary Tour, Skiba had to take some of the second parts of the verse just to give Mark a chance to breathe. So, of course, I love it when it slows down and kind of kicks into that part. But yeah, I've got the Party Song at number 11. This is the only part on the list that we agree on. At number 10, he has Windy Clear. And that's when I just had kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. I'm like, oh my. One of the things that just kind of struck me the wrong way when I was reading through the description of this one, he said no one was looking to Blink in the late 90s for innovation. And I was thinking, man, even if they weren't looking to Blink for that, Blink inspired so many people, I mean, to play music. And I mean, to this day, people are trying to emulate that sound. Anytime I'm listening to Apple Music and it's just going through the algorithm and throwing me songs, which by the way, every other fucking song is like Ocean Avenue and American Idiot. I don't know if that's just me or everybody who likes Blink-182. I swear to God, every time I try to listen to music and let Apple Music do its thing, it throws me Ocean Avenue. I don't want to hear that song. But I was thinking, man, gosh, people are still trying to emulate this sound to this day and are still failing at it miserably 25 years later. So to say that they weren't looking to Blink for innovation, even if they weren't, or weren't hoping for that, or weren't expecting that out of Blink, Blink has inspired so many people throughout the years to this day. I mean, absolute legends. Tom's guitar that he hasn't played in 20 years sells more than people's guitars that they use every single show. I mean, it's insane. So he has Windy Clear at number 10. Here is where some of you might yell at me. I have All the Small Things, okay? And this is one that I think for me personally, as more or less pretty hardcore Blink fan. Yes, you cannot say enough how important this song was for the band. I mean, it is their most popular song. They will play it forever. This kind of passes that star or superstar torch to them where they just absolutely blow up. And it's not just random people who watch MTV who know them. It's your mom knows them. That's one of the things I've heard sports broadcasters say in the past. There's like a superstar test. Does your mom know this person? My mom doesn't know Jorge Posada. She knows Derek Jeter. My mom doesn't know Tony Kukoc, great player for the Bulls back in the day. She knows Michael Jordan. There's that superstar factor. Does a casual person who doesn't deep dive into this stuff know that song as soon as it comes on? And yes, this song it will get SoFi Stadium rocking, every single person screaming it at the top of their lungs. But for me, it's not the type of Blink that I personally prefer as far as heavier song in general, heavier riffage, super identifiable riff. This is more or less an alternative, more in the side of pop hit. And when it comes to the instruments, it's the same thing. So I have All the Small Things at number 10. I don't feel super bad about it. Yes, I know if you were going by commercial success or overall streams or popularity, this would be undoubtedly number one on every list that is measuring it that way. But for mine personally, and what I like out of Blink and what I kind of sway towards when it comes to music and musical taste, I've got this at number 10. At number 9, he has Don't Leave Me. And this is where I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is just so wrong. This is completely different than how I would do this. I have Aliens Exist coming in at number 9. I think with Tom's UFO stuff these days, it's probably raised the popularity of that one a little bit. But this is one that I've got up there towards the B side of the album per se, as far as my rankings. Number 8, this is where I was completely lost on the Billboard ranking, and I was thinking I'm going to have to do a podcast about this, damn it. He has Dumpweed at number 8. There's no way Dumpweed is number 8. It's just not possible. That song is an absolute banger. I mean, kicks off the most iconic and legendary pop punk album of all time. You can play that at any party, anywhere, anytime, and it's going to take people back to 1999 and getting this CD and popping it in and being stoked. There is no world where Dumpweed is number 8. I have it number 8, and this was where I have a note here that says this is a tough one. My number 8 and my number 7 were really a coin toss. At number 8, I have Windy Clear. And it is a great song. I love this song. However, we've got some absolute beast on this album that are going to be coming up. The Billboard article at number 7 has Aliens Exist. And that is where I have Dysentery Gary. And this is where, for me, Windy Clear and Dysentery Gary really could have been swapped. And, I didn't want to beat my head against the wall too much about this, but I had to think long and hard about these. I listened to these probably 5 or 6 times before I had to make that decision. Ultimately, the Dysentery Gary, that bridge with Mark coming in, ease away the problem in the mind, and just the guitar riff in general, I had to give it the nod against Windy Clear. And that's where I had to place it. Number 6. So we're getting into the top half of the album. So if you were doing a A-side and a B-side, we're getting into the A-side hits here. At number 6, they have Anthem. I don't know anybody who has Anthem at number 6. I mean, that's really hard for me to understand. At number 6, I have Don't Leave Me. I mean, Don't Leave Me is an amazing song on Enema. I was so excited when they played that live on the last tour. Just quintessential Blink song, in my opinion, getting right into that early on in the album. I mean, it's such a killer song. Number 5, Billboard has Mutt. It's not too bad. I mean, that's kind of understandable. That it's definitely top 5 in my opinion. This one is tough for me. At number 5, I had to put Adam's Song. And Adam's song is one that is an amazing song. And this is where it gets interesting, because if you were to rank this by song meaning or how much it has meant to people throughout the years, I mean, Adam's song might be number one on a list of that, of all-time Blink songs. I love this song. I mean, I flew to Vegas just to hear this song live. It's that important. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's more of a sadder song. It's not one that I want to listen to in the middle of summer or go out of my way to listen to. One More Time's kind of the same way. I just don't actively want to feel kind of sad sometimes. I'd much rather listen to the fun, upbeat, kind of summer vibe Blink-182. And I really got to be in the right mood to listen to this one. But yeah, it was tough for me because I was thinking, on the surface, Adam's song might be pretty high for me as far as maybe top 3. But I had to slide it in there. I mean, I've literally cried. I've wept in front of people at a Blink concert hearing this song live. Last tour, not that long ago. So, don't knock me for this. It's not saying it's a bad song or I don't like it. I mean, it's just I had to slide it in somewhere, and what's coming up next is just really tough to beat. Billboard has number 4 at Going Away to College. Not too terrible. I can respect that. I have Mutt. So for me, there are very few examples in Blink history where there is kind of a song or two that bridge the gap between eras. We don't see this often. Really, the two that come to mind to me are Mutt, what we have here. That is that sweet spot of Dude Ranch and Enema of the State. It is right in between. Mutt was the last track recorded with Scott. They were playing it with Scott, and then Travis joins the band. It makes it onto Enema, and there you have it. But when you listen to some of those early versions of Mutt, it is such a rad snapshot of where the band was at that time. It still kind of has that Dude Ranch rawness, but you can totally tell that they're just picking up on the pop punk side of pop punk, and it's just a little catchier. It's getting a little cleaner. It's getting a little more in that alternative sing-along, and they're just right there. There's very few examples of that. The other one that comes to mind for me is Waggy. So you think about Waggy on Uranus in 1996, making it onto Dude Ranch. It's bridging that gap between albums. And it's really cool when you get that little in-betweener that ends up making it on the next album in a different version, but you can kind of go back and see where it was originally. It's really rad. So I have Mutt at number 4. Amazing bass line. I mean, that's one of Mark's, if not his favorite bass lines to play, he has said. So it's tough for me to slide that one any lower. I really had to try hard to figure out what these top 4 or 5 were going to be. I had to put Mutt there. At number 3, he has What's My Age Again. At number 3 for me, I have Going Away to College. I mean, this is an amazing pop punk song. When it comes to telling a story, it's really just an A+ song front to back. I mean, what else can I say about it? Just listen to it. At number 2, he has Adam's song. I can respect that. Like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to song meaning, when it comes to song importance, if I was ranking these by music videos, that's my favorite music video of this Enema album. I mean, with the kind of nods to the OG stickers and old school Blink, everything going on behind them during that video. It's amazing video. Number 2 for me, Dumpweed. Again, Dumpweed at number 8 is absurd to me. This kicked off this soundtrack to so many people's youth. And it is an absolute banger from the guitar to the riffage to the drums. It is everything I want in this 1999 kind of a polished new era of Blink-182. At number 1, not surprisingly at all, he had All the Small Things. And again, I think if I interviewed 100 people, probably 60 or 70% of them would have All the Small Things up there just because of the popularity, just because of the sing-along value. Amazing song, game changer, no doubt about it. However, it's not my number 1. Number 1 for me, if you haven't picked up on it by now, need that Travis Barker drum roll. Brrr. What's My Age Again? What's My Age Again to me kicks off the era. That band that I had heard playing Damn It a couple years prior was on MTV. They've got this funny new video, amazing song, love hearing it live. To this day, one of my favorite songs to hear live. This is right up here with Damn It and Rock Show. Really, like those are the three that I just have never gotten sick of hearing live. When it comes to all the small things, I would be totally down with that sliding off the set list and throw in Turpentine or anything. Just throw in any other deep cut or newer song or anything to take its place. Now, obviously, it's never going to happen. I'm just saying from my perspective, and I think from a hardcore Blink fan's perspective, most of you would probably be okay with all the small things or I Miss You or First Date. Those are kind of the ones that it's been played a lot. Is the best way to say it. Even Tom had said not too long ago, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, Tom had said when he hears all the small things, he thinks of like Hanson. It's like MMMBop era. And it is. Obviously when people are at a show singing it out loud and having the time of their lives, it's a beautiful thing. It's an awesome thing. But if you gathered me around and said, hey, come up with your perfect set list that would just cater to you, I wouldn't have all the small things on there. I would definitely have What's My Age Again on there. I would definitely have Dumpweed on there. And I would probably have Going Away to College as my kind of B cut on there. So there you have it. Now you can tell me how crazy I am. Do you agree with my ranking any better than the Billboard dudes? I just felt the need to get mine out there. I know some people were asking me to do this emergency pod to talk about it. I appreciate Billboard putting Blink in the news, doing an article on them, doing a nice little write-up, but it's pretty much like your opinion, man. All right, talk soon.